بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا ما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. So if anybody can just please open the excuse me, open the WhatsApp group description. You can see the link. There's a link for in from America and a link for England for the book. So it's very important that we buy the book. I'm not using the English book anymore because it's just too hard to use the camera while I'm traveling. Excuse me. So I'm reading from the Arabic, but it's very important that we buy the book. Okay, extremely important. So it says. um, We're on hadith or quote 342. He says, Ibn al-Mubarak said, Sufyan al-Thawri said, from Dawood ibn Abi Hind, from Abi Uthman al-Nahdi, from the Tabi'een, narrating from Salman al-Farisi, who said, يركعون بركوعه ويسجدون بسجوده ويؤمنون على دعائه. So this is completion of the previous hadith, is that whenever one second please. Okay. So it says, so whenever you pray in an open area and you pray by yourself, you're the only person praying on the plane. You're the only person praying in the middle of nowhere. You're not actually the only person there. You're not alone. In reality, there are jinn and there are angels who are praying with you. They do ruku' with you. They do sujood with you. And when you say every prayer, every ameen, if you say ameen, they say ameen. When you make dua, they say ameen. Right? So you are never alone. The earth is with you when you turn to Allah. The sky is with you. The atoms are with you. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, many people and the whole of the universe worship Allah. Right? Excuse me. Okay. And another quote from Al-Auf, from Qasama ibn Zuhair. He said, oh, I see. It's 305. Okay, Jazakum khair. He said, إن الرجل المسلم من أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم يكون بالقفر فيقيم الصلاة ويصف خلفه فيصف خلفه من الملائكة صف إلى منقطع التراب أو قال صفوف إلى منقطع التراب. So he says, when you pray, and a person of Ummah Muhammad, when you pray in an open field, an open valley, in an open plain, in an open desert, there will be a rows of angels going back to at the end of the earth, where the earth ends. So all the way to the end. So there's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of people praying with you. Angels praying with you. So he says, and from Ka'b, so he says, he narrates from, Ibn Mubarak narrates from Awza'i, from Ata ibn Rabah, from Ka'b al-Ahbar. So Ka'b al-Ahbar was a Jewish convert. So he would frequently share things from other sources of revelation. We don't know what his sources are. Some kind of Jewish sources, Christian sources, Allahu Alam. He says, من أذن في السفر وأقام صلى خلفه ما بين الأفق من الملائكة. When you're traveling in the middle of nowhere and you call the adhan and you call the iqama, then the angels will pray to you There will be an angel, the whole horizon behind you will be filled with angels praying behind you. ومن أقام ولم يؤذن لم يصلي معهم إلا ملكاه اللذان معه. So he says, but when you do the iqama and you don't do the adhan, then it's just the two angels that are with you, right? The two angels that write your good deed and bad deeds, they're with you, right? So the important of calling the adhan. Obviously, a woman doesn't call the adhan. Okay, and he narrates from Al-Awza'i, from Harun ibn Riyab, from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, who said, إِنَّ الْأَرْضَ لَتَزَيَّنُ لِلْمُصَلِّ فَلَا. We did this one. لتزين للمصلي فلا يمسحها أحدكم فإن كان ماسحها لا محالة فمرة ولأن يدعها خير له من 100 ناقة للنقلة. So he said that Abdullah Mas'ud says the earth bedizens itself. It puts on a particular, beautifies itself in a certain way when you're praying on it. So don't touch it. And if you have to touch it, then just touch it once. There is something physical happening on the face of the earth, so don't touch it when you're praying. And it would be better for you to leave it than to have 100 amazing camels. We did this. We did all these. I think we're further ahead. um, we did this one as well. Okay, so excuse me. Again, I still have this under the chapter of the earth showing off to each other. I have this as hadith 351. So I've skipped like 5 hadiths ahead. So try and find me if you can. If you, Osama, if you're following with the text, try and have a look where it is. Um, it's 351. So he says, he narrates with his chain. He says, we did this one. My apologies. My apologies. We did this one as well. Yeah, we did this hadith. We did this one. It must be here then. The new chapter where it says a good friend. Did we do this one? Yeah. So it says the good friend and other such things. So that's my hadith 353. Yeah, can you see that? That's where we are. So can I just have a thumbs up? Who has the book and who doesn't have the book? Just put thumbs up or thumbs down, just so that you know. Okay, great. So Jamal and Osama, if there's something that I say is different to the translator, just tell me, okay? Inshallah. Okay, so he says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, with the chain of transmission. Da, 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 da. Notice, I just want to read this to you. So it says a new chapter. So what would happen is when you're reading a book like this, it would be read to people in a certain place, and you have a register of who's there. So it says, da, 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 list of persons said. This sheikh said, list of this person's sheikh. So it says that this sheikh said, and we were in Baghdad, and we were where were we? We were in Bab al-Maratib, and it was the year 454, right? And he says, so and so narrated to us. So this is Al-Kharraz going back to Abu Bakr al-Warraq. And they said, and it goes back with his chain. And then it says, going back to Al-Hussein, going back to Ibn al-Mubarak, to Sufyan. So the chain goes all the way back to Abdullah Mubarak, right? But you will find is these things, and you will actually find lists, they're called sama'at, like the list, who was there, you know? Like who was there when this thing was read. And you have specific dates and specific people there, etc. So anyway, so Abdullah Mubarak says, Sufyan narrates from Layth ibn Abi Sulaym, from Mujahid, from Ibn Abbas, that he said, أحب لله وأبغض لله. Love for the sake of Allah and hate for the sake of Allah. عادي في الله ووالي في الله. Go to war or have enmity towards people for the sake of Allah. So if you have enmity for the sake of Allah, do you think you have many enemies? Like you hate your brother, hate your sister, hate the guy who parked in your place, hate the guy who scratched your car, hate your husband, hate your wife, hate your mum, hate your dad. Is that going to be likely? No, right? So somebody who loves for the sake of Allah and hates for the sake of Allah, their life is a bit more simple, right? Whereas other people, their life is very, very difficult. They like live a life of revenge, of hatred, right? Of trying to destroy people or being destroyed, like continual war. It's very, very stressful. وَوَالِ فِي اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهُ لَا تُنَالُ وِلَايَةُ اللَّهِ إِلَّا بِذَلِكَ. He says because the closeness to Allah will not be reached through that. وَلَا excuse me وَلَا يَجِدُ رَجُلٌ طَعْمَ الْإِيمَانِ وَإِنْ كَثُرَتْ صَلَاتُهُ وَصِيَامُهُ حَتَّى يَكُونُ كَذَلِكَ. And somebody will not taste the sweetness of faith, even if he prays a lot and even if he fasts a lot, until he's like that. وقد صارت مواخاة الناس اليوم في أمر الدنيا. He says today people like each other for the dunya. وذلك لا يجزئ عن أهله شيئا يوم القيامة. That will not avail them. It won't help them at all on Judgment Day. Right? So whenever two people come together for the sake of the dunya, they are far apart. Whenever two people come together for the sake of Allah, they are close. Right? So our boyfriend and girlfriend, are they far apart or are they close?
Far?
They're far apart, right? Because what brings them together is each other, right? That's the best it could be, that a genuine love for each other. Usually it's not, right? There's other motives, but they're not actually close. And so if you want to be close to your husband or close to your wife, split up with them and find them in Allah, right? Right? That's what they say. A woman should be so lost in Allah that the husband has to go and find her there. Meaning, you get close to each other by getting close to Allah. But if it's personal, you're always gonna be distant. If it's spiritual, you're always gonna be close, right? As long as it's spiritual, it's always gonna be close. But whenever it's personal, it's always gonna be far. Right? أخباركم with his chain. He says قال رجل من الأنصار, right? He says أحب الناس على قدر تقواهم. Love people commensurate with how much taqwa they have. That's what you're interested in, right? So there's a religious man, okay? He's a religious man, a genuine religious man, and his sister privately messages him, right? And sharing an image of herself. Will he be impressed by her? Will she be a fitna for him? No, she's not. Because if you have deen, you don't find people who are irreligious attractive, right? You find them disgusting. It's like this. It's like it's not nice, right? أحب الناس على قدر تقواهم. So love people commensurate with how much taqwa they have. I remember there was one sheikh, it was Ajib. It was really odd. He said it in front of everybody, right? Like he said in front of everybody. It's really weird. When people don't talk about their wives, and it's strange. But he made this point. He said religious men, really religious men, like religious women. And he said publicly, he said, my wife becomes more and more religious every year, and I'm more attracted to her now than ever before. I was like, Ajib. I was like, oh my God, he said that publicly. That's so weird. you know, or it's not weird, but he's trying making the point, and he's talking, and he's not lying, right? So this is what people of taqwa are interested in. And so being attracted to somebody who is not religious is a sign of a filth inside one, because it means you kind of incline towards something that's not wholesome, right? It's kind of like weird, right? And he says, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْقِرَاءَةَ لَا تَصْلُحُ إِلَّا بِزُهْدٍ, and realize that reciting Quran does not make any sense unless you have zuhud, right? So you want to hear people to hear you, you want to be heard. You like the tune more than the meaning, right? You like the tune more than the meaning, right? I like this person's qira'ah. Why? It sounds cool, right? That's not what it's about. وَظِلٍّ عِنْدَ الطَّاعَةِ. I'm pretty sure we did this before. Forgive me. I'm pretty sure we've gone back anyway. And you have to be broken when you are obedient. So if you are proud when you are, so it should say وَظُلٍّ, not dhil. It should say ظُلٍّ, right? In the ta'ah. Or dhilla, I guess. Maybe something like that. وَظِلَّ عِنْدَ الطَّاعَةِ. Whenever you do something good, you should feel brokenhearted. You shouldn't feel proud. So whenever you feel proud after doing a good deed, you didn't do a good deed, right? Proud as in I'm proud that I did that. I'm happy that I did that. Fine, but mutakabbir, like you feel haughty, you feel big, right? So the sign of a good deed is that you're broken, right? وَاسْتَصْعِبْ عِنْدَ الْمَعْصِيَةِ, and become when you do something haram, become somebody that's be stubborn or be avid to not return. وَاغْبَطِ الْأَحْيَاء بِمَا تَغْبِطُ وَاغْبِطِ الْأَحْيَاء بِمَا تَغْبِطُ بِهِ الْأَمْوَاتِ. Be jealous of living people with that which the dead should be jealous of. So you should be never jealous of wealth or looks or popularity. Doesn't mean anything. Because that doesn't mean anything when you're dead. I'm sure we did this before. And then it's narrated with this chain transmission from Malik ibn Mirwal that he said, Jesus alayhi salam said, Ya ma'shar al-hawariyin, O my apostles, تحببوا إلى الله ببغضكم أهل المعاصي. Get closer, make yourself more beloved to Allah by hating people who do sin. So what does it mean to hate people who do sin? It doesn't mean you hate them, but it means you hate their sin. So it doesn't mean you have ill will for them. Like you want them to be healthy, wealthy, religious, but you hate them vis-a-vis the sins that they're doing, right? So it means, for example, you're really not interested in the music world, in the haram world, in the film world, or any of these things. Like you're not interested in these things because these are people of sin. They don't like it, right? You don't think it's cool, right? Um, so become more beloved to Allah by hating the people of sin. وَتَقَرَّبُوا إِلَيْهِمْ بِمَا يُبَاعِدُكُم مِّنْهُمْ, and get closer to Allah by that which distances you from them, right? So dressing like them, acting like them, talking like them, dreaming like them, eating like them, like everything about their world you hate, right? Be the opposite of them, right? وَالْتَمِسُوا رِضَاهُ بِسَخَطِهِمْ, and try and get his pleasure, make sure he's pleased with you by the fact that you hate them. قال لا أدري أيتهن بدأ. I don't know which one he started with. قالوا يا روح الله, O Spirit of Allah. فمن نجالس, who's supposed to sit with then? If everybody is sinful, who's supposed to sit with? قالوا جالس من يذكركم بالله رؤيته. Sit with people that when you see them you remember Allah. وَمَنْ يَزِيدُ فِي عِلْمِكُمْ مَنْطِقُهُ, and somebody when you listen to them they increase you in knowledge. وَمَنْ يُرَغِّبُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ عَمَلُهُ, and whose deeds make you inclined towards the akhirah. So that means 0.00001% of people. So the believer then is very, very careful about the screen, very, very careful about the phone, very, very careful about his ears and eyes, and has very, very select friends and company around them, right? I go into the world, I do the things I need to do, study, work, eat, buy, sell, I do the things, and then yanazil, then he's by himself or with righteous people. And that half the time that means you need to travel to be with the righteous people because they're not everywhere, right? And so I remember myself, at 16, I was in Hereford in the middle of nowhere, trying to do what is right, but it's very hard when you're by yourself. So trying to pray tahajjud, trying to pray on time, trying to do this, trying to do that, etc. Trying to find my own faults and correct them, etc. It's very hard. When at like 18, 19, I moved to Birmingham. In Birmingham, mashallah, Birmingham Sharif in England, there's lots of very righteous people. Suddenly, there's a different me, right? I'm aware of things I wasn't aware of. Things become easier. Your heart becomes awake. And then from Birmingham, Jordan, oh my God, different person. Suddenly it's like, oh, it's like turning on the lights. Like you try and look for something, you can't really see it. And then it's like someone turns on the light, like, oh, there we go. Big difference, right? Big difference. So you have to actively surround yourselves with people who are in tune with you. You have to do it. If that means leave the continent you live in, if that means quit your job, if it means go here, goes there, that so be it. Right? This is the cost. People want things but don't want to pay the price. It doesn't work like that. So you have to wake up in the morning, say, who's to my right, who's to my left, who am I going to talk to today? Okay, I'm talking to stupid people. As my brother said, you can't have a halal conversation with a 14-year-old, right? You go to high school, you go to middle school. It's like the sentence begins and ends with a cuss word. You know, it's like I can't really talk to people. You're not on the same wavelength at all. So you have to be people on the same wavelength. If that means 0.001% of society, so be it. How did I survive high school? No friends. Not that I wasn't popular. I just left everybody. Like, I'm going to do my class, go and pray. That's it. End of story. That's it. Because 99.99% of people are not worth being around. They're more harmful than beneficial. Does that make sense? So it's very, very important, right? Who should we hang out with? When you see them, they remind you of Allah. What they say increases your knowledge. What they do makes you worship, makes you like you don't care about the dunya anymore. You're really uninterested. All you care about is the akhirah. Very, very important. What does Imam Shafi says? تغرب عن الأوطان في طلب العلا وسافر ففي الأسفار خمس فوائد. He says, become a stranger to all places in seeking that which is higher, and travel, because in traveling there are 5 benefits. تفرج هم واكتساب معيشة وعلم وعلم وآداب وصحبة ماجد. He says you will relieve your depression and you will find an income. وعلم, you find lots of knowledge. وآداب, and lots of insights to life. وصحبة ماجد, and the company of a great person. Many a great person. In the Adab al-Mufrad class, the Imam Bukhari's class, there was a hadith mentioning that you should not live in the suburbs, meaning you live in the middle of nowhere where there's nobody there. Like where I grew up, middle of nowhere. Like, what do we have? What's the Islam of Hereford? They probably still don't have a masjid, and we just prayed in just a Bengali restaurant. That's what we used to pray in. Right? There's nobody there, so it's not going to work. You need to find abna'u jinsika. You need to find people who are like you, and you have to avoid juveniles, fools, people who don't understand that the akhirah is more important than the dunya. People who talk out of their nafs, people who buy because of their nafs. That's how they function. Their goal is their nafs, and their goal is not Allah. So you need to actively find those people and sit with those people, be with those people. Right? um, like find out what you want to be in 40 years, in 80 years, and Find somebody who's like that. Like, how do you want to live life? I want to be a person of the Quran. I want to be this. 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 Right? You know, and uh, find that, and find a way to be like that. How are you going to be like that? You're going to be around people like that. And then he mentions here with his chain transmission, he says a man from the tribe of Ghifar. He said, وَهُمْ يَذْكُرُونَ الدُّنْيا, and they were talking about the dunya for the sake of the dunya. اقْطَعُوا هَذِهِ عَنْكُمْ بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَ. Guys, just stop talking about the dunya so much. Right? So when you're around the people of the dunya, you will want the dunya. Excuse me. When you're around the people of akhirah, you want the akhirah. Be around the people of the akhirah, even if they are very few. Excuse me. With this chain transmission, he says, الذاكر الله في الغافلين كالمقاتل خلف الفارين. Aun ibn Abdullah, he said, somebody who is remembering Allah among heedless people is like somebody who is fighting in jihad while everyone else is running away. So that is true. There is a special ajr of being the only person, right? The 31st of December. Everybody is out partying. What are you doing? Praying tahajjud. That's a very special thing. But do you want to be around? You can hear there's a nightclub down the road from you. Your cousin who's living with you went out, is going to come back at 3 a.m. If, you know what I'm saying? Do you want to be around that kind of people? You don't. You remember there was a sheikh, he was talking about college, right? And the sheikh, he was saying it's don't go to college. Like, don't do college online. Don't be in person. And don't live in the dormitories. And I thought it was a bit extreme. I was like, that's a bit extreme, isn't it? I mean, I've been to college. It wasn't that bad. So I was talking to my brother. He went to college in London. And I was like, he's like, Frieda, have you seen campus? And I was like, yeah, I'm in University of Jordan. I'm in Jordan. He says, Frieda, you have no idea, right? You have no idea how bad it is, right? And so I'm not making a fatwa, I'm not making a general point, but what he described, I don't want to share it with you because there's too much haram stuff. It's like insane. So should you live in a place where you're surrounded by haram, left, right, and center? No. Shouldn't be like that. If you have no choice, alhamdulillah, right? As we get closer and closer to the end of time, it will be like that. But not somebody who has a Western passport and has the ability to choose where they live. Say, look, I literally don't want to wake up in the morning and I want to like see people who do dhikr. Like right, left, here we go, right? So it's a very, very different world. You want as many reminders of the akhirah as possible because we are weak and we easily fall. And it's narrated from Abu Musa al-Ashari. He said, "Jalis as-sidqi khayrun min al-wahda." It's better to have good company than to be alone. So being alone is very dangerous because who do you have with you? Shaitan, right? So don't be alone. It's not a good idea, right? It's better to have good company than to be alone. وَالْوَحْدَةُ خَيْرٌ مِنْ جَلِيسِ السُّوءِ. But being alone is better than having no company, have a bad company, right? وَمَثَلُ جَلِيسِ الصِّدْقِ مَثَلُ صَاحِبِ الْعِطْرِ. So he says, this is in reality a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Seems to be like combined or something like that. Allahu alam. He said the good companion is like somebody who has perfume. إِلَّمْ يُحْذِكَ يُعْبِقْكَ مِنْ رِيحِهِ. If he doesn't give you some perfume, at least you get the scent of it. وَمَثَلُ جَلِيسِ السُّوءِ مَثَلُ الْقَيْنِ. And he says, a bad companion, right? The screen, the adverts, right? So this is, people always make this mistake. It's like, oh, I'm not around bad people. Yes, you are. Surrounded by bad people because you're watching the same screen that we're all watching, right? Watching the same screen. And I'm not just talking about men seeing the screen. Yes, there's lots and lots and lots of inappropriate images for men, but for women too, right? I'm a female, I'm a young female, and I'm watching the screen, and this advert comes on. All the adverts always focus on attractive women, basically. So what is it telling me? It's telling me my self-worth is being attractive. And I can increase my self-worth by being attractive and showing off my attraction, showing off my attractive body. So that's harmful to my iman. That's really bad. So it's not just, oh, I might see something haram, right? It's like, well, and also they're going to have images of men and all sorts of things. So the screen is a really, really bad place, right? How do we know that? Because the screen is there for you to make money. The screen, YouTube, is there to make money. WhatsApp is there to make money. Instagram is there to make money. The TV is there to make money. They're not doing it for free. And what did the Prophet ﷺ say? He said the most hated of places to Allah are the malls, the marketplaces. And the most beloved of places to Allah are the places of sujood, or the masjids. So that's what it is. When you go on YouTube, that is a mall. You're on a mall, right? So it's a very dangerous place to be. You shouldn't be there, right? You are surrounded by shayateen, millions of shayateen, physical and spiritual. It's not a good place to be at all. وَمَثَلُ جَلِيسِ السُّوءِ مَثَلُ الْقَيْنِ. He says the comparison of a bad companion is like a blacksmith. إِن لَمْ يَحْرِقْكَ يُعْبِقَ مِنْ رِيحِهِ يُعْبِقْكَ مِنْ رِيحِهِ. If he doesn't burn you with his fire, you get the smell of it. He stinks. وَإِنَّمَا سُمِّيَ الْقَلْبُ لِتَقَلُّبِهِ. A heart has only been called a heart because it flips. You're in the masjid and you hear this and you walk out and then boom, this. And then you hear this song and then this. And then you see this thing. You're shifting like it's shifting all over the place. وَمَثَلُ الْقَلْبِ مَثَلُ رِيشَةٍ فِي فَلَاتٍ. It's like a single feather in the middle of a desert. ألجأته الريح إلى شجرة فالريح تسفقها ظهرا لبطن. And then it's stuck onto a tree. And then the wind is blowing it this side, that side, this side, that side. Iman kufr, iman kufr, iman kufr. Akhirah dunya, akhirah dunya. Halal haram, haram. That's how the person is. We are very fickle. We change. We're weak. خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. We've been created weak. So you have to fortify yourself. Doesn't work unless you fortify yourself and you surround yourself with with people that support your iman. It's not a joke. Life is not a joke, right? It's not it's not a hobby. Deen is not a hobby. Deen is a survival. It's not even survival training. It's surviving now, right? It's about surviving now. It's not a joke, right? So may Allah protect us all. So this is really, really important. مثل القلب مثل الريح. Your heart is like a feather in this valley, in this desert. The wind is on a tree, and then the wind is just flipping it sideways, this like that. So when you say when you say ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim, you say, Allah, guide me. You can't make dua and then not take the means. You're surrounded by fools. You're surrounded by people who care about the akhirah, don't care about the akhirah. You're surrounded by people who don't care about halal and haram. Surrounded by people who don't think. And then you start, why don't I think? You're surrounded by people who don't remember Allah, and you're wondering, why is it I don't remember Allah? Right? So a sahib, your friend, the people around you, what you see on the screen, this will pull you, suck you in. Excuse me. Okay. He says, Luqman, the wise, he said, Allahumma la taj'al ashabi al-ghafilin. Oh Allah, do not make my companions people who don't remember Allah. So you're watching something, the person talking to you is not remembering Allah. The TV, the program, the book, the this, the that. I remember, again, I'm in Jordan, I'm praying, I'm doing this and doing that. And I had to read this book, okay, a book for university. And the book was really, really bad. It was a really bad book. It was about famine in Morocco in the 1930s. And anyway, I was going to read this book. I was reading the book, and my lecturer said, "Yeah, don't read the book. Don't advise you read the book." It's a very disturbing book. So somebody think, no, I know I'm strong in my iman. Okay, sure, try yourself. Try yourself. That's not a clever thing to say. I'm strong in my iman. Don't say that. Say, Ya Allah, I'm really scared of leaving Islam. I'm really scared of doing the haram. I really need to change myself. I really need to take every single means. You take every single means, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens things up for you. You don't take every single means. It's like, oh, it's not, not a priority right now. It's not a priority. I have to do this. I have to do that. It's not a priority. So people don't take things, don't see the deen as a priority. It's not a safe way of living life at all. It's a very dangerous way of living life. Deen is not part of life. Deen is life. Because we're going to be dead soon, and that's it. So he says, oh Allah, don't make the people around me, ghafilin, people are heedless. الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذَكَرْتُكَ لَمْ يُعِينُونِي. When I talk about Allah, they ignore me. وَإِذَا نَسِيتُكَ لَمْ يُذَكِّرُونِي. And when I forget you, they don't remind me. Right? وَإِذَا أَمَرْتُ لَمْ يُطِيعُونِي. And when I tell them do what is right, they don't listen. وَإِذَا صَمَتُّ أَحْزَنُونِي. And when I'm silent, they make me sad. Right? So you want to be people who are on the same wavelength as you. Very important. It's also narrated that Dawood alayhi salam كان يقول اللهم لا تجعل لي لا تجعل لي أهل سوء فأكون رجل سوء. Oh Allah, do not surround me with bad people so that I become a bad person. He was a prophet. وعن عبد الله بن عمرو قال كنا فيما مضى إذا لقي الرجل رجل كأنما يلقى أخاه ابن أمه وأبيه وأما اليوم إذا لقي الرجل منكم رجلا فكأنما يلقى عدوا. So he's just talking about how people changed. He said, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As, he said, in those days, when people used to meet each other, it was like they were visiting, they met their brother or their full brother or their full, As for today, when people meet each other, it's like they're meeting an enemy. Like they don't have ukhuwa, right? There's no, right? Because again, the connection is in the dunya. It's not in the deen. And Sufyan al-Thawri, he said this. He said, I've never seen any group of people who hate each other more and have more hasad and more enmity than the fuqaha. So even religious people are like that. People who are outwardly religious, they hate each other. Right? So why? Because they're not really religious. And what binds them together is not deen. What binds you is Allah, you love that person. You might not see that person for a long time, but you're totally on the same wavelength as them. إن النعمة So Ibn Abbas, he said, إن النعمة تكفر والرحم تقطع وإن الله تعالى يؤلف بين القلوب وإذا قارب بين القلوب لم يزحزحها شيء أبدا. So Allah, Ibn Abbas, he said, people forget favors. This person did this for you, they forget it and they ignore it. And family ties are cut off. They're like, oh, who cares? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the one who brings people back together again. So he says, and when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings hearts together, there's nothing that can shake them. And he mentioned the verse, وَلَوْ أَنْفَقْتَ مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا مَا أَلَّفْتَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِهِمْ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ أَلَّفَ بَيْنَهُمْ. He said, if you spent every single thing in the world to try and get people to be friends and nice, you wouldn't do it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought people together. Right? And Abdullah Mas'ud, he said, Humul mutahabbuna fillahi azza wa jal. Describing this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought their hearts together, those who love each other for the sake of Allah. They might not speak the same language, they might not live in the same country, they might live totally different lives. But what joins them is al-iqbal ala Allah, the turning to Allah. They love Allah and they love when people turn to Allah. So when they see somebody turning to Allah, they love that. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا تصاحب إلا مؤمنا. Do not take the company of anybody except a believer. ولا يأكل طعامك إلا تقي. and do not break bread with anybody who doesn't have taqwa. So you're sitting down eating your food, and you're hanging out watching TV. And when I say TV, I mean the phone. Television, same thing, right? TikTok, Instagram is TV, the same thing. Like the image, television means that a vision is teleporting, right? You're moving the image. It's the same thing. So TV, an actual TV, your computer, your phone, just, what are you doing, right? I remember I used to live with myself when I was a teen, and I remember like listening to I didn't have a TV and didn't have phone either back in those days. But I remember listening to cassettes. Right, this is old school. Right, who's had a cassette players? Is that too old school for you guys? Jamal, yeah, good stuff. Anyway, so so I'm listening to this cassette, and then I'm listening. It's just like I'm eating food or hanging out, whatever I'm doing, listening to this thing, and I realize I'm just listening to it because it's kind of interesting. I'm not listening to it because I want to change, right? So when you're listening to something, you want to listen to Mufti Mink, fine. You say, Ya Allah, tell me something that I can take from Mufti Mink and change in my life. Like, "Oh, Ya Allah, I fear you. I really want to change. I don't want to be the same person." So you're listening with that kind of ear. Otherwise, it's just entertainment. It doesn't mean anything, right? So when you sit down and break bread, you do with somebody of taqwa, right? Eat the halal, eat with people who eat the halal, surround yourself with really good people, even if it means one or two people in the world, right? And soon it's going to be less and less and less. And don't say, oh, I'm a victim of circumstances. You're not a victim of circumstances. A victim of your circumstances, I live in the third world and I can't get out of my country, and all I can do is work 12 hours a day in this random place, right? That's a victim of your circumstances. If you have an American passport, you are not a victim of your circumstances. You can do whatever you want. Go basically anywhere. You have access to a ridiculous amount of money that most people in the world, and therefore opportunities, right? You have opportunities that most people in the world do not have access to. قال اعتذرت أنا وشعيب يعني ابن حبحاب إلى إبراهيم فقال ذكر رجل أنه قال قد عذرتك غير معتذر إن الاعتذار يخالطه الكذب. Okay, sure, he's talking about being sincere. He says, I forgive you. قد عذرتك غير معتذر. So two people apologizing, basically. He said, I forgive you without apologizing. Apologizing is mixed with lying. I'm not sure what he's talking about. Something to do with being straight, like a lot of people not straight. I'm not quite sure. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, so it says again from the Prophet ﷺ, قال أضف بطعامك من تحب في الله عز وجل. It says feed food, excuse in the book, جزاك الله right? Host those you love for the sake of Allah. Now, hosting again might not be like that, right? You might host your non-Muslim neighbor. You might host family members that aren't religious and you don't want to be around, but you do it for the sake of Allah. Host people who are struggling, right? Your friend is not religious. He does certain things, but you invite him around to check on him, how you're doing, right? But you have to be very, very careful. So basically, hearts are porous. Okay, hearts are porous, right? So imagine, for example, like it's like a nicotine patch, right? You put a nicotine patch on your shoulder, on your arm, you absorb nicotine, right? It goes into you. So that's how it is, right? When you touch someone's hand, it's actually porous. Like I'm shaking hands with you. chemicals are coming out of my hand and going into your hand and into your body, and chemicals are coming out of your body and coming into my hand and going into my body. That's how it is. So that's how hearts are. It's this exchange of emotions and processing in spiritual states. So the default is you really try and avoid these people. I remember when I was first in Jordan, I didn't understand colloquial Arabic. I could speak Arabic, but I couldn't speak, this is like 2007. I could speak colloquial, I could speak proper Arabic, couldn't speak colloquial Arabic. So I didn't really connect that well with people. Like I'd be in a taxi, it's not really an emotional connection, like just kind of information. After a while, I could speak colloquial Arabic. It was different, right? And so then you see they're trying to bond with you, right? They're trying to connect with you. And then after a while, I realized actually I don't want to connect with these people because half these people, I'm harmed more than I benefit. So you have to be very selective, right? You got to be very selective. There's often more harm than benefit, right? Like da'wah to the opposite sex, right? There's a sister, she's Muslim, she's giving da'wah to this brother. You know, it's tricky, very tricky, because things go off very quickly, right? And vice versa, right? So when you're trying to help somebody, you got to see, am I helping this person? Am I pulling this person up or are they pulling me down? Right? Who's watched The Bad Guys, the cartoon? Guys don't watch enough TV. Osama? Nobody watched The Bad Guys. I have kids, so I have to watch these things with my kids. Oh. It's a cartoon, The Bad Guys. No? Jamal, you have kids?
No, not yet.
Inshallah. You can buy them on Temu. I'm sure you can buy kids on Temu. Okay, no? Anyway, so basically, The Bad Guys is a story about these criminals who are kind of tricked into becoming good in order to get framed. So anyway, there's this scene in it where there's this guy who's kind of tricking them. But anyway, the point is, the real situation is they're bad and they're criminals and they're a team. So then one of them says, is like basically, I don't want to be a bad person anymore. I want to be a good person, you know? But what's holding him back is his friends. And that is a genuine reality. That's like normally the case. Like somebody wants to change, but he's being held back. My friend was like that. My friend, he became Muslim and he was into drugs and, all the kind of in the street life. And his girlfriend, she kind of became Muslim, kind of got married, but she just wanted to go back into that life. So it was really, really painful, really difficult because they've been through so much. And then it's like, no, I gotta quit this lady because she's going back into that world. It's very common. So, so in the story, it's like really bad, like, oh my God, you backstabbed, loyalty to who? Loyalty, right? The whole hood, like, right? In the hood, right? Like, hey man, you're gonna be loyal to the gangs. You do not have to be loyal to anybody apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You do not have to be loyal to anybody apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So somebody who's turning their back on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you do not have to be loyal to them. And so that will mean that in your life, there's a bunch of people you'd have to say part ways with. A lot of people. That this person's changing, but not really, right? Family members, this person changed, that person's not changing. You're polite to them, keep ties with them, but like there's a gap because they're holding you back, right? And so in the film, in the cartoon, it's a kind of a thing like, oh, what's going on? Like how do you put these two the loyalty to your friends as opposed to these things, right? But but for him it's different. It's like, I want to be a good person so that people appreciate me or something like that. I'm not talking about it's like you have a loyalty to Allah. Allah is your Lord. So you have to be loyal to him, number one. It doesn't matter what anything else happens. And that may mean that you have to turn your back on a lot of people because a lot of people are off, right? And there may be people they've changed 10%, but you're changing 100%. So yeah, they're better than they could be, but it's not the same. Okay, excuse me. Bab حفظ اللسان, holding the tongue. So حفظ اللسان is the same thing as حفظ العيون, same thing. So classic thing you will see today, the person sitting down, pull out the phone. If you keep doing that, you know you love the dunya, right? So having a phone and not abusing it is basically impossible, right? It's probably more addictive than alcohol. Checking the screen, checking this thing, you have so many, so many different things on your phone, so many different things, right? And so what did Ibn Arabi says, what is it? He says, Sudd al-bab, close the door. Waqta' al-asbab, and cut off all connections. وجالس الوهاب, and sit with the giver of gifts, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يكلمك الله بغير حجاب. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will speak to you without any barrier. But we don't do that. You're there with your phone. You're there with your laptop. You're there with this, you're that, million distractions. Right? So it's either I have to listen, I have to talk. I have to listen, I have to talk. I have to read. Basically, we're like a monkey on a cocaine. Right? Imagine getting like a monkey and giving him cocaine. It's like totally whack, right? Just like totally nuts, right? The good thing about the monkey is that more responsible, and he doesn't have that much to aspire to. The problem with us is we are the sons and daughters of Adam. We have a lot to aspire to. So when you see somebody like that, it's like you're just all over the place, right? And this person can't. If you can't stop talking with your mouth, how are you supposed to stop talking with your in your head? And if you don't stop talking in your head, you can't. There's no this connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to be there. So you have to stop with your tongue, learn how to be quiet, just don't talk. And then learn how to stop talking in your head. And then what happens? You're going to see there's all this communication from Allah, but if you don't do that, the communication from Allah just blurred out. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to us all the time, but it just gets blurred out because we don't stop talking, right? قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله تعالى عند لسان كل قائل فاتقوا الله امرأ علم ما يقول, right? So the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah is there at the tongue of every single person who's about to say any single thing. So let him who knows what he's going to say fear Allah, right? Like you need to know, should I speak, should I not? And default, don't talk, right? It's good to have a long time of like not talking because you just say too much nonsense. Same thing with the phone. Turn the phone off, right? Turn it off. Leave. I used to leave it. I used to use my phone all the time. I was always on WhatsApp the whole day because of work. Like we would communicate at school, at work. Turn it off. Use your WhatsApp on your computer, and then close it. Leave the computer somewhere else. Don't have your phone with you. You don't need it, right? You need to, you need to cut off. You need to cut off and turn on in order to turn on, right? You can't turn on Allah if you don't cut off other things. It doesn't work. So you just keep talking, 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 blah, 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 and then you had blah, blah, blah. It's like a whole it's just like non-stop things, right? And if you think about it again, the analogy of cocaine, right? Who studies medicine? Anybody here doing medicine? Osama, do you know much about what's it called? There's depressants, drugs, and depressants. What's the other ones? Um, like cocaine makes your neurons like basically the thought process stimulants, right? How stimulants work, right? So if what you're doing is you're keeping those stimulants going really, really, really fast, right? Depressants and stimulants, right? So speaking is like that. Just stop talking, calm down, breathe, think, right? As opposed to keep going, 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 right? So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the person who prays and doesn't talk to himself in prayer. Well, how can you not talk to yourself in prayer? Well, just learn, at least start by not talking. Can you actually not physically talk? So that now you can start working on that calm inside where there's actually no thought. You actually turn off thoughts and just turn on Allah. Let alone talking about the haram. Right? Um, And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever believes in Allah on the last day, فَلَا يُؤْذِي جَارَهُ, he should not harm his neighbor. Right? And who's your most important neighbor? Who is your most important neighbor? Your spouse. Thank you very much. So should you get married young or should you get married old? Get married young. You should be as young as humanly possible, as long as you don't harm anybody. But Habibi, if you're gonna harm somebody, then tawil balak. Just wait a little bit, right? Get married at 12, get married at 14, get married at 16, get married at 18, great. But if you're gonna harm somebody, don't do it, right? And so most women, but definitely most men, at 12, at 14, at 16, you're probably gonna harm somebody, right? Like you're just gonna like make this lady cry her eyes out all the time because you're just an idiot, right? So yes, your body is saying get married, but your brain is not there yet, or your soul is not there yet. So the limiting factor in marriage is emotional maturity. That's the limiting factor. It is not physical maturity, nor is it financial means. You can be married, live with your parents. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not ideal, right? But that's if you're mature, right? Like a mature person can live with somebody else. Like, hey, I'm gonna live with my brother. I'm finishing my PhD. I can't. I have to live with my brother, and it's cool. I can do this, and we can make it work. You can make a lot of things work, right? But you can't make it work if you're gonna harm other people. If you're gonna harm your neighbor, particularly harm your wife, harm your husband. What's the point? Right? وَمَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيُكْرِمْ ضَيْفًا. And whoever believes in Allah and the last day, then let him honor his guest. وَمَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا. And whoever believes in Allah and the last day, then let him say that which is good or remain silent. So is it true? Is it is it halal? Is it useful? Right? Is it true? Yes. Is it halal? No. Don't say it then. Might be true, doesn't have to be halal. Is it useful? Right? You leaving the airport like, oh my God, I told you 5 times to bring your passport, and now we've missed the flight because of you. Why, how is that useful? How is it useful telling somebody off about not bringing their passport to the airport after you've missed a flight? It's useless. So all you're trying to do is make sure that they know that it's their fault. What's the point in that? What's the benefit? All it is just venting. It's pointless. It's not useful. Don't say it. Right? Your sister's forearm is showing. Last time you said it, she burst into tears and said she's going to leave Islam if you ever say it one more time. And you said, your forearm is showing again. It's not useful. You don't tell people things that are not useful, right? That's riba. Don't say it. It's like, why are you telling me that? You know I'm like angry out of my head and I'm just venting about everything. So obviously it's haram for me to make riba, but you coming telling me don't make riba at this time, right? You know I'm stressed, you know I'm this, like what's the point? What's the point in telling me? Don't tell me something that's not useful. If it's not gonna have a useful effect, don't tell me. It's not right. People just like to talk and harm people and make points, right? Just it's not if say what is good or remain silent. Right? And then if you're not able to be silent, don't get married because you're going to harm somebody. Don't do it. If you're arguing with your sister and arguing with your brother and arguing with your dad and arguing with your mom and arguing with your teacher and arguing with this person, don't get married because you're too immature. Right? You need to know when to zip it. Just drop it. You're not able to drop it because you're too attached to the dunya. Right? The, the person who can drop something, like it's okay, I don't need to say it. Just drop it. Like they've insulted you, just drop it. They're saying something totally insane. Just drop it. It's totally their fault. And everything they're saying is hypocritical and lying. And just drop it. Don't say anything. Right? That's the zahid. That person, I don't care about the dunya. The person who loves the dunya is, I have to be right. And I have to prove this. And I have to prove that. And I have to do this. And I have to do that. Right? Just drop it. Inshallah, last one. From Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he said, he pointed his tongue, he says, this thing has taken me to all the bad places. This thing, the tongue, has taken me to all the bad places. Right? And there's many things we can say it's not technically haram, right? But it can be haram in that it's harsh, right? The way you talk to your kids, the way you talk to your spouse. You're not using a cuss word. You're not outwardly attacking them, but it is actually attacking them. It's actually harsh and cruel, right? So there's a lot of damage. In Arabic, you say kalim. Kalim means somebody who is spoken to. It also means somebody who's been injured. It's really interesting. Kalm means jarh, means to injure. So you injure people with your words. There's a lot of injuring with words. A lot of injuring with words. So you have to be very, very careful, right? ثَكُلَتْكَ أُمُّكَ يَا مُعَاذ, right? As the Prophet ﷺ said to Mu'adh. So Mu'adh ibn Jabal said, Ya Rasulullah, are we punished for what we say? I'm a religious person. I wear niqab. I pray. I do this. You're not a religious person because you don't hold your tongue. You're not able to hold your tongue. A religious person is a person who can protect their heart, stop harming people with their tongue, right? So Sayyidina Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu said, Ya Rasulullah, if we say something, will that count against us on Judgment Day? And the Prophet ﷺ said, what's your problem? Right? ثَكُلَتْكَ أُمُّكَ. May your mother lose you, O Mu'adh. Like, may you die. That's such a crazy thing to say. Such a crazy question to ask. He says, is there anything else besides the harvests of our tongue that throws us on our faces in hellfire? That's like the number one thing. The number one thing is, right, um, is that. And so again, if you can't zip it, don't get married. If you can zip it, go ahead and get married. If you can have if your parents can be rude to you and you can stay calm, if your brother and sister can be rude to you and you can stay calm, right? If you can work in a situation where everything's crazy and you can stay calm, go ahead and get married. That means you're emotionally mature. Otherwise, if you can't, if you blow up over 2 minutes, well, you're just going to repeat that somewhere else anyway, right? You're going to repeat that somewhere else anyway. So what's the point? You're just gonna pile up your own bad deeds and harm somebody else. All right? May Allah protect us all. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك